Hey, I'm Tristan. I don't think it's a surprise now to know that I'm a very spiritual individual. In the past, it was very hard for me to break out of this shell and share with you my spirituality. Back in 2017, that is when I started to really dive into the whole spiritual realm because I was in a really dark place. I didn't know exactly what to do with my life, very depressed, stressed out, very burnt out, and I fell into a lot of self improvement to help dig me out of that cycle, which eventually led to my spiritual awakening. And the people that I was surrounded with around at the time, I was they were like my family. I was with them every day. They were like my roommates, family. Spent so much time with them. And when I started to dive into this whole spiritual realm, it was hard for me to communicate with them some of these things that I was learning and going through. None of those people could relate, and it got to the point to where I started to feel like an outcast, and I started to feel very isolated from all those that are around me. I was in a house filled with my homies, but I still felt so alone. And that was very hard. Even going to my family and talking to them about the stuff I was learning and going through, no one could really understand it. But it was making sense to me. Everything was making a lot of sense to me. And I kept testing these concepts. But then it got to the point where I got yanked out of those situations that I was in the past. And I had to do this whole journey alone. And it was very lonely at first, very scary, very isolating. I didn't know what the heck to do. Everything that I once knew in the past was just not there for me anymore. I was alone. It's kind of like a kid going off onto college. And since I saw all these people as my family and getting pulled away from everybody, I didn't know exactly how I was going to navigate through life from there. When I started to continue further down this path, I started to learn a lot more of these concepts, test more of these concepts, and then I started to be connected with more individuals that were like minded. And this started to cultivate a sense of belonging for myself. I started to realize that I wasn't the only one going through what I was going through in the past, learning what I was learning. There's other people who also think the same way. And that was very comforting for me. I really needed that. And so that now that's why I'm also not afraid to speak upon the subjects and stuff that I'm talking about right now on my Instagram page and wherever else I'm posting these, because I know that there's somebody else out there that could be possibly going through a spiritual awakening or just have gone through a spiritual awakening, and they might feel alone. They might feel like they don't have anybody to talk to about these concepts. And I just want to say, I'm here for you. I know how it is. You're not alone. And that showed me a lot about like the law of attraction. There's a subset within the law of attraction called nature arbors vacuum. And picture like a container. Everything within this container is your entire life, your reality, your relationships, your work, everything that you like to do. And this could be stuff that serves you and stuff that does not serve you. And so when I was in the past, I was surrounded by people that weren't serving me for my highest good. They weren't there for my highest good, my highest intentions. I was feeling alone. I didn't have anybody that was able to hold space for me. So it got to the point where those situations, those people were pulled out of my container, and that leaves space open within the container for more to come in. Now, more good can come in or more bad can come in depending on what I allow to come in. And so that's where I had to learn boundaries, because there were times where I would just let these negative entities, negative things come into my life that didn't serve me, and that they were just in my container. And this is all like law of attraction, like attracts like. I was vibrating at a space of low worth, low self-esteem, And so I attracted others into the space that were able to mirror that same aspect to me, as within, so without. And I just want to stress the fact that your environment really matters. Whoever you're surrounded by, you're going to be a product of that as well. And so I was surrounded by other individuals that weren't growing in the same way that I was looking to grow. Our paths were completely different. And so if I kept staying over there, I would not have grown into where I am right now. So I think it's very important to have an environment that really suits you and supports you. And that's why I'm also cultivating this space to where it's safe to be yourself, safe to share these concepts, these ideas, because I once at a time felt like I was never in a safe space to actually share these ideas with other people. And that's why you might have seen me on Instagram in the past, if you've been following me for a while, just not really talking as much. I would just be longboarding, not really sharing this side of myself. And now I'm at a point in my life where I feel a lot more confident in where I'm going, and I'm able to share this side of myself and relay this information because I know that's authentically me. And it got to the point to where I'd rather share who I am with the world than hide who I am with the world. Because if I were to hide who I am from the world, I'm essentially dimming my own light. And then it has people guessing who I am. I have the opportunity to attract more negative stuff into my life. I still have the opportunity to attract more negative stuff right now. People can see me as a target and target me down. But I've rooted myself even more deeply into these concepts, and I feel like I have the courage and the confidence to navigate through these obstacles in a better way because I've went through so much in the past. A lot of this stuff I'm speaking upon right now is because it's stuff that I have experienced. So I have the credentials to speak upon it. And the only thing is I'm here to do is to help guide others in a better direction so they don't have to experience the stuff that I have experienced in the past. We do this a lot in human life. You might see some doctors out there that have a really strong resolve because someone in their family member had this one disease and it really affected their life. So they did all this work so they can help other people out there that are not that are experiencing the same thing. So they specialize in that field to help those people. That's essentially what I'm doing right now with spirituality. I went through this stuff and I'm speaking upon it because I don't want other people to go through the same pain that I've went through. I've had a lot of failed relationships. I've had a lot of failed friendships. I've had a lot of negative experiences that have brought me down. And I don't want anybody else to go through those experiences like I have. And I know the value that inner work, stepping into your own personal power, can do for you. And we've been strayed away from this path for a really long time. We have so many distractions that make us look away from ourselves. A lot of people are scared to look within. That was something I did in the past, was look within, because all these situations around me were falling apart. And I always saw myself as the problem. And that just led me to look more within myself and figure out what can I change to better serve the people around me, to have better experiences within my life. And I didn't know it was a thing that a lot of people strayed away from. A lot of people are scared to look into their own shadow and even display it. I've made mistakes in the past. I fuck up. But I learned from it because I don't want to repeat that anymore. I really care about people out here. So I just want to say, if you're ever going through something like this and you don't have anyone to speak to, I'm here. You can speak to me. I have an open mind. I don't judge. I know that there is a lot of comfort when you confront your own shadows. There is something on the other side. People say like grass is greener on the other side. You can also think about that, but there's also another perspective is the grass is greener where you water it. And if you water your grass, your own grass, it gets green. So I just really want to stress the fact to do the inner work and work on yourself. And it's not an easy journey, I can tell you that. But it's definitely worth it, because now I'm navigating through life with more hope, more faith. I feel courageous. I can see that I'm very resilient. I have a lot of self-worth in myself. And like I said before, as within, so without. Really study the universal laws. I feel this on the inside, so I get this on the outside. I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and welcome to the 5D.